The morning sun rose over Hunnell 3 like it always did, painting the Rocky Mountains orange and red. Governor Taeyang Kim stood at his office window, watching the miners head to work. Their trucks kicked up dust on the dirt roads. Everything looked normal, but nothing was normal anymore. Taeyang was 58 years old and had been governor for 15 years. He loved this place. The colony started as a simple mining outpost 47 years ago. Now 12,000 people called it home. They had farms, schools, and even a small hospital. People came here looking for a better life away from crowded Earth. They found it. But Earth had forgotten them. Supply ships came less and less often. The last government message was 3 years ago. The colonists learned to take care of themselves. They grew their own food. They fixed their own machines. They built their own homes. They were proud of their independence. Until 8 days ago. Dr. Hayoon Choi ran into his office that morning, her face white with fear. She was the colony's chief scientist in charge of the long-range sensors. She could barely speak. When she finally did, her voice shook. Ships, she said. Alien ships. 15 big ones and maybe 40 smaller ones. They destroyed the colony on Miryang 7. Then they destroyed New Busan Station. Now they are coming here. Taeyang felt his stomach drop. He knew about those other colonies. The messages came weeks ago. Desperate calls for help that ended in static. Everyone hoped it was just communication failures. But they all knew the truth deep down. How long do we have? He asked. 8 days. Maybe 9 if they slow down. 8 days. Taeyang closed his eyes. 8 days to prepare for an enemy they could not fight. 8 days to pray for a miracle. He called an emergency meeting. Commander Jiwoo Park arrived first. She was 34 and ran the Colony Defense Force. It was a small group, just 200 volunteers with old equipment. They used mining lasers and construction vehicles modified with armor plates. It was better than nothing, but not by much. Can we fight them? Taeyang asked, even though he knew the answer. Jiwoo looked at the floor. She was a good soldier, trained on Earth before she came here. She knew how to read tactical data. The numbers were clear. No, she said quietly. We can make them work for it. We can buy time for people to evacuate into the mountains. But we cannot win, Taeyang nodded. He expected that answer. He sent Hayoon to broadcast an emergency message to Earth. She used every frequency they had. She sent it again and again, knowing it would take days to reach home. Days more for any response. They did not have that much time. The next days were hard. Everyone worked without sleeping. Jiwoo turned the mining lasers into fixed defense guns around the main settlement. They were designed to cut through rock, not enemy armor. But maybe they would do something. Her volunteers practiced defensive positions. Many of them were fathers and mothers. They knew what they were defending. Young-ho Lee was one of those volunteers. He was 29 and worked as a mining foreman. He had a wife and 2 small children. His son was 6. His daughter was 3. When Jiwoo asked for volunteers, he signed up immediately. His wife cried when he told her. She asked him not to fight. She wanted to take the children and run to the mountains. If we all run, there will be nothing left to come back to. Young-ho said, I have to try. For them. He meant his children. All across the colony, people made the same choice. Some took their families to the mountains. Others stayed to fight. Nobody judged anyone for their decision. These were impossible choices. Hayoon stayed at her console, sending the distress signal over and over. She monitored for any response. Nothing came. Earth was silent. She checked her equipment constantly, worried it was broken. But it worked fine. Earth just was not answering. On day 5, she detected new signals. The alien fleet was talking to each other. Their computers automatically translated some of it. The messages were cold and efficient. They called humans primitives and easy targets. They discussed how to divide the colony's resources after destroying it. They talked about humans like they were insects. On day 7, Taeyang addressed the colony. 5,000 people gathered in the main square. Others watched on screens. He did not lie to them. He told them the truth. The enemy will arrive tomorrow, he said. We sent messages to Earth. We have not received an answer. I do not know if help is coming. I do not know if Earth even remembers we exist. The crowd was silent. But I know this, Taeyang continued. We built something good here. We made homes. We raised children. We created a community worth defending. If we must fight, we fight for each other. If we must stand alone, we stand together. People cheered, but it was the sad kind of cheering. The kind that says we know we will probably die, but we will die with dignity. That night, Young-ho held his children. His daughter asked why everyone was scared. He told her everything would be okay. Children should not have to know about war. Jiwoo walked through the defensive positions one last time. The mining lasers looked small and weak. The volunteers looked determined but frightened. She wished she had better weapons to give them. She wished she had better news. Taeyang could not sleep. He stayed in his office looking at old photos of the colony. Pictures of the first buildings going up. The first harvest festival. Children playing in the streets. All of it might be gone tomorrow. On day 8, the alien fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. Hyun tracked them on her sensors. 15 massive warships, each one bigger than anything humans had built out here. Dozens of smaller attack craft. Enough firepower to turn the colony into dust. A message came through. It was in English, translated by their computers. The voice was cold and harsh. Human colony, you will surrender all resources immediately. You will submit to Kalrathi authority. If you resist, you will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. Taeyang stood in the command center, surrounded by his people. Jiwoo was there. Hyun was there. All of them looked at him, waiting for his decision. He thought about surrendering. He thought about saving lives. But he knew these aliens. They destroyed the other colonies even after they surrendered. Submission meant slavery or death anyway. Send them our answer, he said. Hyun opened the channel. Taeyang spoke clearly. This is Governor Taeyang Kim of Hanul 3. We are free people. We will not surrender. If you want our home, you will have to take it. The hour passed. The alien fleet began moving toward the planet. On her sensors, Hyun watched them approach. She felt tears on her face but did not wipe them away. Then something appeared on her screen. New signals, massive ones, coming from hyperspace. Her hands started shaking. She could not believe what she was seeing. Governor, she whispered, there are ships coming. A lot of ships, more than I have ever seen. Kalrathi reinforcements? Jiwoo asked, her voice tight. Hyun looked at her screen again. Her hands were still shaking, but now she was smiling through her tears. No, she said. They are ours. They are Earth ships. They are here. The hyperspace signatures exploded across Hyun's sensors like fireworks. 1 ship, 2 ships, 10 ships. She kept counting but lost track. Her computer started counting automatically. The number climbed higher and higher. 50 ships. 100 ships. 200 ships, how many? Taeyang asked, standing behind her. His voice was tight with hope and fear. Hyun's voice cracked when she answered. The computer says 374 ships, 6 dreadnoughts, 24 battlecruisers, 48 destroyers, and hundreds of support vessels and fighters. The command center went completely silent. Everyone stared at the main display screen. As the ships emerged from hyperspace, they appeared as blue dots on the tactical map. So many blue dots. They filled the screen. Jiwoo grabbed the edge of a console to steady herself. She had served in Earth's Navy before coming to the colony. She knew what those ship classifications meant. A single dreadnought carried more firepower than the entire colonial defense force. Earth had sent 6 of them. They sent the core defense fleet, she whispered. Those ships are supposed to protect Earth itself. They sent them here. They sent them for us. Someone in the command center started crying. Then someone else. Soon half the room was crying, but they were happy tears. Tears of relief. Tears of joy. They were not alone. Earth had not forgotten them. The fleet moved into formation with perfect precision. The massive dreadnoughts took position at the center. The battlecruisers formed a protective screen around them. The destroyers spread out in a wide perimeter. Every ship knew exactly where to go. They moved like a single living thing. Then a message came through on all frequencies. The voice was calm and strong. It carried authority that made everyone stand a little straighter. This is Admiral Minho Kang of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Hanul 3 is under our protection. Any hostile action against this colony or its people will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. The message was not just for the colonists. It broadcast toward the Kalrathi fleet too. The Admiral was making a promise and a warning at the same time. Taeyang's hands shook as he opened a direct channel to the flagship. When the Admiral's face appeared on the screen, Taeyang could not speak for a moment. He was a man in his 60s with gray hair and kind eyes. the eyes of someone who had seen war but never lost his humanity. "Admiral," Taeyang finally managed, "we did not think anyone would come. We thought Earth had forgotten us." Admiral Kang smiled gently. "We leave no one behind, Governor. Not ever. Every human matters, no matter how far from Earth they live. Your message arrived while we were conducting training exercises 3 systems away. We came as fast as we could. But this fleet," Taeyang said, "these are the most important ships Earth has. To send them here, you are the most important people Earth has," the Admiral interrupted. "You and every person in that colony. The ships can be rebuilt. The people cannot be replaced." On the other side of the star system, the Kalrathi fleet had stopped moving. Their sensors showed them the same thing Hyun was seeing. They had come expecting to find a defenseless mining colony. Instead, they found the largest human military force ever assembled in this region of space. War Leader Thask stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the tactical display. His intelligence reports said humans were weak. They said human colonies were undefended. They said Earth's military was scattered and disorganized. Every single report was wrong. His second-in-command looked worried. "War Leader, should we withdraw?" Thask felt anger rise in his chest. The Kalrathi did not retreat. They were the strongest military power in this sector. They had conquered a dozen worlds. They would not run from primitives no matter how many ships they brought. "Count their ships again," he ordered. 15 capital ships against 6 human dreadnoughts. "We still have superior numbers and heavy vessels." His second-in-command hesitated. "But War Leader, their total fleet size—" "Numbers mean nothing without skill," Thask snapped. "We are Kalrathi. We have fought for 1,000 years. These humans are newcomers to space. Prepare for battle." Another message came from the human fleet. Admiral Kang was broadcasting on Kalrathi frequencies now, speaking their language perfectly. "Kalrathi vessels, you have attacked human settlements twice before. You believed we were weak, scattered, unable to respond. You were wrong. You have one chance to withdraw. If you choose battle, you will not survive it." Thask's pride would not let him back down. He had destroyed colonies before. He would destroy this one too, fleet or no fleet. He gave the order to attack. Back on Hanul 3, everyone watched the tactical display. The red dots representing the Kalrathi fleet started moving forward in attack formation. The blue dots of the Earth fleet adjusted their positions smoothly. Youngo stood in his defensive position with the other volunteers. They could not see the space battle, but someone had set up a screen showing the sensor data. He held his rifle, the one he thought he would use to fight aliens on the ground. Now he just watched and prayed. Jiwoo stood beside Taeyang in the command center. She had studied military tactics her whole career. She could read the pattern forming. The Earth fleet was not retreating or scattering. They were advancing in perfect formation. "They are going to fight," she said quietly. "The Admiral is actually going to engage them. Can we win?" Taeyang asked. Jiwoo watched the formations on the screen. The Earth fleet moved with the precision she had never seen before, not even in training simulations. Every ship in exactly the right place. Every movement coordinated perfectly. "I think we are about to find out what the Earth military can really do," she said. "I served in the Navy, but I never saw the core defense fleet in action. Nobody has. They train constantly but have not fought a real battle in decades." Admiral Kang sat in his command chair, watching his tactical officer update the battle display. His fleet was ready. Every captain knew their role. Every crew had trained for this moment. They had traveled for weeks at maximum hyperspace speed to get here in time. They were tired, but they were ready. His communications officer looked back at him. "Admiral, the Kalrathi are launching their first strike. Plasma torpedoes and kinetic missiles inbound. All ships activate point defense systems," Kang ordered. His voice was calm. "Let them see what they are facing." The Kalrathi weapons came fast, hundreds of them. The colonists watching the sensors held their breath. So many missiles. So much firepower. Then the Earth fleet responded. Every ship in the fleet opened fire with their point defense systems at the same instant. Laser grids and interceptor missiles filled space. The coordination was perfect. Each ship covered not just itself but its neighbors. They created layers of defensive fire that nothing could penetrate. 97% of the Kalrathi missiles were destroyed before reaching their targets. The few that got through hit shields and did no damage. Hyun gasped. "Did you see that? That defensive coordination? I have never seen anything like it," Jiwoo nodded slowly. She understood now. Earth did not just send a fleet. They sent their best fleet. Ships that trained together for years. Crews that knew each other perfectly. This was not just military power. This was military excellence. Admiral Kang watched the battle display. The Kalrathi had made their first move. Now it was his turn. All dreadnoughts, he said quietly. Main batteries fire. 6 dreadnoughts fired their massive railguns simultaneously. The colonists could not see the actual weapons fire, but they saw the results on the sensors. The Kalrathi formation shuddered. 3 of their ships lost their shields completely. 2 more were severely damaged, 1 strike, 6 shots. 5 enemy ships crippled or destroyed. The command center erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Someone laughed with relief. The tension of the past 8 days finally broke, but Taiyang did not cheer. He watched Admiral Kang's face on the communication screen. The Admiral looked sad.
He did not enjoy this.
He was doing what was necessary to protect people, but he took no pleasure in destruction. That was when Taiyang understood. Earth had not sent warriors looking for glory. They had sent protectors doing their duty. There was a difference, and it mattered. The battle was just beginning, but the outcome was already clear. The Kalrathi had made a terrible mistake. They thought no one would come to save a forgotten colony. They were wrong. The Kalrathi fleet charged forward, their ships moving in a wedge formation. It was their traditional attack pattern, designed to punch through enemy lines. War leader Thask watched his tactical display with confidence. He had used this strategy dozens of times. It always worked. Admiral Kang watched the same formation from his command chair. He had studied Kalrathi tactics for years. Earth intelligence had reports from every encounter with them. The wedge formation was predictable. That made it vulnerable. They are committing to the attack, his tactical officer said. All 15 capital ships in formation. Good, Kang replied. Execute defensive pattern Omega-7. Signal all ships. The Earth fleet shifted smoothly. The dreadnoughts moved into a horizontal line. The battle cruisers formed 2 layers behind them. The destroyers spread out on the flanks. To someone who did not understand tactics, it looked like they were just sitting there. But Jiwoo understood. That formation, she whispered, staring at her display. Every ship has overlapping fields of fire. The Kalrathi are going to fly into a kill zone. Taiyang did not understand military tactics, but he understood the tone in her voice. Is that good for us? Very good, Jiwoo said. The Admiral is not just fighting them. He is teaching them a lesson. The Kalrathi closed to firing range, their plasma weapons charged up, glowing bright on the sensors. They launched everything at once. Hundreds of plasma torpedoes streaked toward the Earth fleet. The colonists watching the display held their breath. The Earth fleet did not dodge. They did not scatter. They held formation and fired their point defense systems. The defensive fire was so dense it looked like a solid wall. Kalrathi torpedoes exploded one after another, filling space with expanding clouds of superheated gas. Only 12 torpedoes made it through. They hit shield generators and did minimal damage. The Earth fleet did not even slow down. Their turn, Admiral Kang said calmly. All ships fire at will. The dreadnoughts fired first. Their railguns accelerated tungsten slugs to incredible speeds. The projectiles were so fast they were hard to track. They hit 3 Kalrathi cruisers before those ships even knew they were under fire. Shields collapsed. Hulls crumpled. 2 ships went dark immediately. The third started spinning, venting atmosphere. The battle cruisers followed with their plasma lances. These were not the scattered torpedoes the Kalrathi used. These were focused beams that burned through armor like paper. 4 more Kalrathi ships took critical hits. Their engines exploded. Their weapons went offline. In less than 2 minutes, 7 Kalrathi capital ships were crippled or destroyed. The Kalrathi wedge formation broke apart as ships tried to scatter. War leader Thask stared at his display in shock. This was not possible. The humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to panic under fire. Instead, they fought with cold precision. Every shot hit its target. Every maneuver was perfect. Reform the line. He screamed at his officers. Bring the attack wings around. Flank them. The Kalrathi had small, fast attack craft. About 40 of them broke away from the main fleet and accelerated toward the flanks of the Earth fleet. It was a good tactic. If they could get behind the human ships, they could target weak spots in the shields. Admiral Kang watched the attack craft on his display. He did not look worried. Captain Shin, he said. Your turn. Captain Dabin Shin commanded the destroyer screen. She was 36 years old and had trained for this moment her entire career. Destroyers were fast, maneuverable ships designed to hunt smaller craft. Her 12 destroyers were ready. "All destroyers execute microjump on my mark," she ordered. Her crew worked quickly, calculating hyperspace coordinates. Mark! The 12 destroyers vanished. For 3 seconds, space was empty where they had been. Then they reappeared directly in front of the Kalrathi attack wings. The enemy craft had no time to react. The destroyers unleashed everything: missiles, railguns, laser batteries. At this range, they could not miss. The Kalrathi attack craft were designed for speed, not durability. They exploded one after another, filling space with debris. In 3 minutes, the entire flanking force was gone. Not a single destroyer took damage. On Hanul 3, the colonists could not believe what they were seeing. Young-ho stood with his mouth open, staring at the tactical display. The Earth fleet was not just winning. They were dominating. Every Kalrathi move was countered before it even developed. "This is what Earth can do," someone said. "This is why we are still here." The Kalrathi fleet was in chaos now. Ships scattered in all directions. Some tried to retreat. Others tried to regroup. War leader Thask screamed orders, but nobody was listening anymore. They were too busy trying to survive. Admiral Kang did not pursue aggressively. He could have destroyed the entire fleet quickly. Instead, he gave them chances to surrender. His weapons targeted engines and weapon systems, not life support or crew quarters. He was showing restraint. One by one, Kalrathi ships went dark. Their captains transmitted surrender codes. The Earth fleet disabled them carefully, leaving their crews alive but their ships powerless. 4 Kalrathi captains refused to surrender. They chose to fight to the death. Admiral Kang gave them that choice. The battlecruisers destroyed those 4 ships quickly. It was not cruel. It was simply what those captains had chosen. War leader Thask sat in his command chair, watching his fleet die around him. He had 15 capital ships when the battle started. Now he had 3 left operational. 8 were crippled and drifting. 4 were destroyed. His attack wings were gone. His formation was broken. He had lost. A message came from the human flagship. Admiral Kang's face appeared on every screen in the Kalrathi fleet. His expression was not angry. It was disappointed. "This did not need to happen," the Admiral said. "I gave you a chance to leave. You chose battle. Now you have seen what happens when you attack human colonies. Your fleet is destroyed. Your warriors are captured or dead. This is the price of aggression." Thask wanted to argue. He wanted to scream that the Kalrathi were superior. But the evidence was overwhelming. The humans had destroyed his fleet in 47 minutes. Not a single Earth ship was destroyed. A few needed repairs, but that was all. It was not just a defeat. It was a humiliation. "You will transmit your surrender now," Admiral Kang continued. "Your crews will be treated fairly under the laws of war. You will return to your government and tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity protects its own. Tell them that attacking human colonies is suicide." Thask looked at his officers. They all looked back at him, waiting. He had no choice. His pride was broken. His fleet was beaten. He transmitted the surrender code. On Hanel 3, the command center erupted in celebration. People were crying and laughing and hugging. The threat was over. The aliens were defeated. They were safe. Taeyang sat heavily in his chair. The stress of the past 8 days finally hit him. He had prepared to die. He had prepared to watch his colony burn. Instead, Earth had come. Earth had saved them. Jiwoo stood at her post, professional to the end. But tears ran down her face. She had trained as a soldier. She knew how to fight. But she had never seen anything like what the Earth fleet just did. That was not just military power. That was military art. Hyun shut down her combat sensors and switched to regular scanning mode. The battle was over. Space around the planet was filled with debris and disabled ships. But the colony was untouched. Not a single weapon had fired on the planet. The Earth fleet made sure of that. Young-ho left his defensive position and went to find his family. They were in one of the mountain shelters waiting. When he arrived, his children ran to him. His wife embraced him. They cried together, holding each other. "Is it over?" his wife asked. "Yes," Young-ho said. "Earth came. They saved us all across the colony, families reunited. People who had prepared to die were celebrating life. The fear that had gripped them for 8 days finally released. They laughed. They cried. They thanked Earth and each other. Admiral Kang remained in his command chair, watching the tactical display. The battle was won, but his work was not finished. He had disabled ships to secure, prisoners to process, debris to clear, and a colony to protect while they did all of it. "Status report," he said to his bridge crew. "No ships lost," his tactical officer reported. 17 ships report minor damage. 3 need significant repairs. Casualties are minimal. Medical teams are treating the wounded now." Kang nodded. 17 ships damaged out of 374. It could have been worse. Much worse. "Send a message to the colony," he ordered.
"Tell Governor Kim we are coming down."
"I want to meet these people we traveled so far to protect." The message reached Taeyang minutes later. The Admiral was coming. The man who saved their colony wanted to visit. Taeyang stood up, straightened his uniform, and prepared to meet a hero. Admiral Kang's shuttle descended through the atmosphere of Hanil 3. The planet looked beautiful from above. Red mountains, green valleys, and the small settlements scattered across the landscape. It reminded him why he did this job. These were real people with real lives, and they deserved protection. The entire colony gathered to meet him. 12,000 people filled the main square and the streets around it. They cheered when his shuttle landed. Children waved flags. Adults cried tears of gratitude. This was what victory looked like. Governor Taeyang Kim stood at the front of the crowd. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. When the Admiral stepped off the shuttle, Taeyang did something unexpected. He embraced him. "Thank you," Taeyang said, his voice breaking. "Thank you for coming. We thought we were forgotten." Admiral Kang hugged him back. He was a military officer, trained to be professional and distant. But this was not a time for professional distance. This was a time for humanity. "I'm sorry we could not arrive sooner," Kang said. "We were 3 systems away when your message arrived. We came at maximum speed, but I know you waited in fear. That should never have happened." Taeyang shook his head, wiping tears from his eyes. "You came. That is all that matters. Earth remembered us." "Earth will never forget its people," Kang said firmly. "No matter how far you travel, no matter how remote your colony, an attack on one human is an attack on all humans. That is not a promise. That is a fundamental truth." Captain Dabin Shin accompanied the Admiral. She looked around at the colony with professional interest. The defensive positions were clever, built from mining equipment and construction materials. The people had done the best they could with what they had. Commander Jiwoo Park greeted them next. She saluted crisply, then shook their hands. "Commander Park," Captain Shin said, "I reviewed your defensive preparations. You did excellent work with limited resources." Jiwoo looked embarrassed. "We had mining lasers and hope. Not much else." "You had courage," Shin replied, "and discipline. Your volunteers were ready to fight against impossible odds. That matters more than equipment." They walked through the colony together. Admiral Kang stopped to talk with people. He met Young Ho Lee and his family. He shook hands with miners and farmers. He thanked the militia volunteers personally. He made sure everyone knew that Earth valued them. Dr. Haeun Choi met them at the communications center. She looked exhausted but happy. For 8 days she had sent distress signals without knowing if anyone heard them. Now the man who received those signals stood in her office. "Your message saved lives," Admiral Kang told her. "You gave us time to respond. Without your warning, we might have arrived too late." Haeun showed him the communications array. It was old equipment, barely functioning. She kept it running through skill and determination. "This needs to be upgraded," Kang said. "Commander Nam." Commander Eunji Nam stepped forward. She was the fleet's science officer and communication specialist. "Dr. Choi will need a proper long-range array," Kang said. "Work with her to design one. I want this colony connected to the Earth communication network permanently." Eunji smiled at Haeun. "I will help you build something that will reach anywhere in known space. You will never be isolated again." That evening, Taeyang hosted a dinner for the Admiral and his officers. The food was simple, grown in the colony's farms, but it was prepared with love and gratitude. People from all over the colony brought dishes. It became a feast. During dinner, Taeyang asked the question everyone wanted answered. "Admiral, why did Earth send such a large fleet? We are just a small mining colony. We expected maybe a few ships if anyone came at all." Admiral Kang set down his fork. The room went quiet. Everyone wanted to hear his answer. "The Kalrathi have been expanding for years," he said. "They destroyed 2 other colonies before yours. Earth intelligence tracked them carefully. We knew they saw humans as weak and scattered. They needed to learn the truth. He paused, looking around at the colonists. This fleet represents 40% of the total military power that Earth has. Deploying it was not a casual decision, but it was necessary. We needed to send a message not just to the Kalrathi, but to every species watching this sector. What message? Someone asked. That humanity protects its own, Kang said. Always, regardless of distance, regardless of cost. You are not a small mining colony to us. You are citizens of Earth. You are family. An attack on you is an attack on Earth itself. Jiwoo spoke up. But Admiral, leaving Earth with only 60% of its fleet, that is a huge risk, Kang smiled. Earth has other defenses. And more importantly, Earth has a reputation now. Every species in this sector saw what happened here. They saw how quickly we responded. They saw how decisively we acted. That reputation is worth more than 1,000 ships. Captain Shin added her thoughts. The best defense is making sure nobody attacks in the first place. After today, nobody will test Earth's resolve again. The next day, Admiral Kang made an announcement that surprised everyone. Hanul 3 will become a forward military base, he said at a colony meeting. We will establish orbital defense platforms. We will station 3 destroyers here permanently. We will build proper communication infrastructure. The colonists looked at each other in shock. A military base here. They went from forgotten outpost to strategic installation in one day. This is not a punishment, Kang continued. This is recognition. You proved your worth. You stood ready to defend yourselves even when hope seemed lost. Earth values that courage. This region of space needs protection. We will provide it, Young-ho raised his hand. Admiral, what about the Kalrathi? Will they come back? Kang shook his head. The Kalrathi sovereignty sent a diplomatic delegation. They want peace negotiations. After what happened here, they understand that attacking human colonies is suicide. We will have peace with them soon. Over the next week, construction began. Earth engineering ships arrived and started building orbital platforms. The destroyers took up permanent positions around the planet. Supply ships brought equipment and personnel. Captain Shin worked with Commander Park to design proper military facilities. They built a training academy. They upgraded the militia to a professional garrison. They gave the colonists the tools to defend themselves properly. Hyun and Yoonji spent days building the new communications array. When they finished, they sent a test signal to Earth. It arrived in seconds instead of days. Earth responded immediately. The conversation brought tears to Hyun's eyes. After years of silence, Earth was talking to them again. Taeyang watched all of this with wonder. His quiet mining colony was transforming into a hub of activity. New colonists were already applying to come here. Businesses wanted to establish trade routes. Scientists wanted to study the region. One evening, he sat with Admiral Kang on the roof of the government building, watching the sunset. You changed our lives, Taeyang said. You changed your own lives, Kang replied. You built something worth defending. You stood ready to fight for it. All we did was make sure you did not have to fight alone. Taeyang smiled. 8 days ago, I was preparing to die.
Today I am planning for a future I never thought possible.
It feels like a dream. It is not a dream, Kang said. It is what happens when people refuse to give up. When they hold on long enough for help to arrive. You did that. You earned this future. The Admiral stood to leave. His fleet was preparing to depart. They had other responsibilities, other colonies to protect. But before he left, he shook Taeyang's hand one more time. We will not forget you again, he promised. Earth will always remember Hanul 3. The colony that stood alone and refused to surrender. The colony that proved the strength of humanity. As the Admiral's shuttle climbed back into orbit, Taeyang remained on the roof. He watched the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. Somewhere up there, hundreds of Earth ships were preparing to leave. But 3 destroyers would stay, and more help was always just a message away. They were not forgotten anymore. They would never be forgotten again. 20 years passed. Hanul 3 was no longer a forgotten mining colony. It was a thriving world of 200,000 people. Ships from dozens of species docked at the orbital stations every day. The small settlement that once feared destruction had become one of the most important trade hubs in the sector. Young-ho Lee walked through the Memorial Plaza with his grandchildren. He was 49 now, his hair starting to gray. His mining company employed hundreds of people. His products were sold across 3 star systems, but he never forgot where it all started. The memorial stood in the center of the plaza. A massive stone monument listing the names of every colonist who had prepared to defend their home 20 years ago. His name was there, along with all the other militia volunteers. Children played around the monument now, laughing and running. They had no idea how close this place came to destruction. "Grandfather," his grandson asked, "is it true you fought aliens?" Young-ho smiled and knelt down to his eye level. "We were ready to fight, but the Earth fleet came and fought for us. They saved us all. Were you scared?" "Very scared," Young-ho said honestly. "But we did not run. We stood together, and Earth came when we needed them most." His daughter approached. She wore the uniform of a lieutenant in the Orbital Defense Force. She had been 3 years old during the crisis. Now she commanded one of the defense platforms that protected the planet. "The ceremony is starting soon," she said. "We should get to the square." Today was the 20th anniversary of the Battle of Hanul 3. The colony held a celebration every year, but this one was special. Admiral Kang was returning for the anniversary. He was 76 now and had retired from active duty 5 years ago. But he still made time to visit. The main square was packed with people. Thousands of colonists, both old and new. There were also visitors from other worlds. Kalrathi diplomats stood in the crowd. Once they had been enemies. Now they were trading partners and allies. The peace treaty signed after the battle had held strong for 2 decades. Governor Tae-yang Kim, now 78 and near retirement, stood at the podium. He looked older but still strong. He had guided the colony through its transformation from outpost to city. He had earned his rest. 20 years ago, Tae-yang began, his voice clear and strong. "We faced annihilation. We sent a desperate message to Earth, not knowing if anyone would hear. We prepared to fight with whatever we had. We prepared to die defending our homes." The crowd was silent, listening, but Earth heard us. Admiral Minho Kang heard us. The most powerful fleet ever assembled came to our rescue. They did not just save our lives. They showed the galaxy what humanity stands for. Unity, courage, loyalty to our own. He gestured to Admiral Kang, who stood nearby. The crowd erupted in applause. People cheered and whistled. Some cried. After 20 years, the gratitude was still overwhelming. Admiral Kang stepped to the podium. He moved slowly now, his age showing, but his eyes were still sharp and kind. He smiled at the crowd. 20 years, he said. "It feels like yesterday. I remember the day we received your distress signal. I remember the decision to deploy the fleet. I remember seeing this beautiful planet for the first time." He paused, looking around at all the faces. "What happened here was not unique. It is who we are as a species. Humanity has learned across thousands of years that our strength comes from standing together. We are strongest when we refuse to abandon our own, when we make it clear that an attack on one is an attack on all." He turned to look at the memorial. The people listed on that monument did not fight alone. They fought knowing that help would come. And help did come because that is the promise every human makes to every other human, whether they live on Earth or 1,000 light years away. We are one people, one family. Across the stars, the crowd cheered again. Young-ho found himself crying. His grandchildren held his hands. His daughter put her arm around him. They were all here because of that promise. Because Earth kept its word. After the ceremony, Kang walked through the colony. Captain Shin accompanied him. She was now Admiral Shin, commander of the Sector Defense Fleet. She had been promoted after her actions in the battle. They visited the military academy. Commander Jiwoo Park ran it now. She was 54 and had trained thousands of officers. Many of them served throughout the sector. Her academy was known as one of the best. "Admiral," Jiwoo said, saluting. "Welcome back, Commander," Kang replied warmly. "Your academy is impressive. I hear your graduates are serving with distinction." "We teach them what you taught us," Jiwoo said. "Discipline, courage, and the importance of protecting our people, no matter the cost." They visited the research station next. Dr. Hyun Choi was 62 now and directed a team of 50 scientists. Her communications array had been upgraded 3 times. It was now one of the most advanced in the sector. She had also made significant discoveries about hyperspace travel. "Dr. Choi," Kang greeted her. "Still sending signals?" Hyun laughed. "Always, Admiral. But now people actually answer. We are connected to everything now. No colony will ever be isolated like we were." That evening, Kang sat with Taeyang on the same rooftop where they had talked 20 years ago. The view had changed. The small colony had grown into a city. Lights covered the landscape. Ships moved overhead constantly, but the stars above were the same. You built something amazing, Kang said. This place is proof that human communities can thrive anywhere. We built it because you gave us the chance, Taeyang replied. Without you, none of this would exist, Kang shook his head. We gave you time. You did the rest. You built the schools. You created the businesses. You made this place a home worth defending. They sat in comfortable silence watching the stars. There are 100 more colonies like this now, Kang said, all across the frontier. Because of what happened here, Earth changed its policies. We built better communication networks. We stationed defense fleets in every sector. We made sure no colony would ever feel forgotten again. So we changed history, Taeyang said with wonder. You did, Kang confirmed. The colony that thought no one would come became the reason Earth changed. Your courage inspired an entire civilization. Far away on a Kalrathi colony world, war leader Thask sat in his home. He was 69 now. His military career had ended in disgrace after the Battle of Hanul III, but he had been allowed to live and retire. He watched a news broadcast about the anniversary celebration. He saw the humans celebrating, saw their thriving colony, saw the former enemies now living in peace. He understood now what he had failed to understand 20 years ago. The humans were not weak. Their strength did not come from weapons or numbers. It came from their unity, their absolute refusal to abandon each other. That was a power his people never had. It was why they lost. It was why peace was better. Back on Hanul III, the celebration continued into the night. Fireworks lit up the sky. Music played in the streets. Families celebrated together. Species from across the sector mixed and talked and laughed. Young-ho sat with his family watching the fireworks. His grandchildren were amazed by the lights. His daughter sat in her uniform, proud and strong. His wife held his hand, grateful for all the years they had together. Tell me the story again, his grandson asked. About the day the fleet came. Young-ho smiled. He would tell the story. He would always tell the story. Because it was important. Because people needed to remember. We were 8 days from destruction, he began. We thought we were alone. We thought no one would come. But we were wrong. His grandson listened with wide eyes. Earth came. They sent the largest fleet in history. They saved us, and they taught the galaxy an important lesson. Humanity takes care of its own. Always. No matter what. All across the sector, on hundreds of human colonies, people slept peacefully that night. They knew they were protected. They knew that no matter how far from Earth they traveled, they would never truly be alone. Help would always come if they needed it. It was not hope. It was not a promise. It was a certainty. A fundamental truth of what humanity had become among the stars. Admiral Kang left the next morning. His shuttle lifted off from the same landing pad where he had arrived 20 years ago. Taeyang and thousands of others came to say goodbye. They waved as the shuttle climbed into the sky. As the shuttle reached orbit, Kang looked down at the planet one last time. The small mining colony he had saved was now a beautiful city. Lights covered the surface. Ships filled the orbit. Life thrived there. This was why he had become a military officer. Not to fight wars, not to seek glory, but to protect people, to give them the chance to build lives and raise families and create futures. He thought about all the other colonies spread across the stars, all the families living their lives, knowing they were safe. That was the real victory. Not the battles won, but the lives protected. 20 years ago, a small colony thought no one would come. They were wrong. And because they were wrong, everything changed. The balance of power shifted. The rules of the sector transformed. Humanity proved itself not through conquest but through loyalty. That lesson echoed across the galaxy. An attack on one human was an attack on all humans. Help would always come. The fleet would always respond. No one was forgotten. No one was abandoned.